Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday edition of the Streakers Island Podcast. It is I, Jacob, the self-proclaimed sports analyst. Man, I love those little commercials. What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Chazzy, the CEO, is looking like this is why I'm the CEO and you guys are not. As we're screaming, was like we're a Budweiser commercial, Bud Light, whatever, from like the early 2000s.
And I don't even drink.
And we have Dan. Well, that's debatable the way you act. Well, we have Dan more for your money.
Woo!
Who apparently doesn't drink liquor, but he does get more sunlight now. We're starting to see some complexion, those rosy cheeks. Like Santa Claus came early. But
he's under the 50 SPF.
We have an action-packed show. We're going to go over the NHL standings, playoff implications. As we stated on our live show on Saturday, this playoff picture is getting much clearer because I can see clearly now the results are in. We can see wild cards and opponents. Anyways, we're going to go over some Blue Jay signings with Vladdy. Who's your daddy? It's Vladdy. We're going to go over Ovechkin breaking the goal record. And just, you know what? I think when you talk Ovechkin, you got to talk Crosby at the same time. Toronto Maple Leafs have some injury issues. OHL Round 2. Who knows? Chazzy might throw in some golf. I might throw in some random CFL that's not in the script just to confuse Dan so we can complain about it. We got an action-packed show.
I have something random to flow in, too. I'll flow in when I feel like it.
But let's throw to our playoff picture here. And it's becoming a lot clearer. Let's start with the East. And as we said, we thought Montreal had a very good chance to kind of pull away, and they have. They are now 6 points up on the Red Wings and the Rangers. Give the Red Wings credit where credit's due. They are on a 2-game mini winning streak, and I think it's going to be a little too late for them just because of the way Montreal was playing as well. Montreal's got points in 7 out of their last 10. They've won 5 straight. They're really on a nice roll here. Chazzy, how happy are you to see Montreal starting to pull away?
Oh, it's great. The wins that we needed on the weekend is exactly what we needed, especially with that short turnaround going into Nashville last night. Yeah, Nashville or a couple nights ago, but Sunday night. So, they did what they needed to do, get those 2 must win, even though they're not the playoff teams, but those are the teams you need to beat at this time of the year. And they did exactly what they needed to do and bring on the Capitals. Here we go.
They have done the complete opposite of the Columbus Blue Jackets, who we looking at the Blue Jacks. Opportunity was calling, and they missed the boat. They've lost 3 straight, only have points in 4 of their last 10, and they completely crapped the bed.
They're done.
They should have been wearing a Depend.
Well, we said it. Saturday night was their playoff, and they dumped Toronto out.
Toronto it was a master's class with Toronto versus Columbus in that game.
I gotta say with Columbus, one thing I was shocked about, Columbus was fighting for goals through his whole playoff stretch, and JVR was a healthy scratch like 5 or 6 games. And I'm like, I guess he's not the 40 goal scorer he used to be, but he did have 14 goals before the scratch, and you think if he played, and especially on power play, maybe he could have got a few goals and hit 20, and that could be a difference between a win or not, you know?
Funny enough, Columbus has not had a problem scoring goals. They've had problems keeping goals out of their net. They have a minus 17 goal differential, but they do have 245 goals so far this year, which is the highest out of any team going for that wild card position.
Well, I guess that's why they scratched JVR, but I still think it was a mistake.
Which is the highest out of any team really realistically fighting for that wild card position. So I look at Columbus. I think what really killed them is their road record at 12, 23, and 4 versus you look at Montreal. They've been very good at home at 21, 12, and 5, and on the road 17, 18, and 4, which isn't great, but it's hovering around that 500. So it's good. It's been good enough, right? So Detroit, I would say a similar Detroit's more like Montreal on the home and away record, but Detroit really, I'd say their late March is what kind of did them in. Sorry, Max, one of our loyal viewers, but
I have one comment because I got a bowl of popcorn staring at me. Saturday night, we talked about your lines being moved on your Leafs. What do you guys think? Nicky Robertson, 2 goals. You guys making any moves going to the playoffs? Are we switching the lines again?
Robertson played great in a non-physical, non-playoff style game. I think Robertson is a great 13th, 14th forward to have. He's still not in my playoff lineup. If everyone,
I have one word to answer your question, Chazzy, and that is cute. I thought Nick Robinson was very cute. You know, yeah, he got a couple goals when he needed it to get himself out of the doghouse. That's fantastic. But in a playoff game, and a lot of it depends who you're facing too, right? If you're facing a tough team like, well, I say Albany, Florida, Ottawa, Tampa, all tough physical teams, right? Then yes, when you're going to need someone like Patches, or someone like David Kemp killing the penalty, so someone like Scott Lawton that can drop the gloves here and there. You know, I think Nick Robinson is just unfortunately one place, one time. I think he's a great goal scorer, a great talent, but he just doesn't. He's been proven again and again and again. He doesn't quite fit on this team. And I think he'll go to another team and do great. He'll be a great backup forward for us, but that's about it.
However, Dan, I want to counterpunch you a little bit here. Let's say Toronto, their first 2 games, right? They lose 3-1 and 2-1. I'm putting Robertson into my lineup for game 3.
Who are you taking out?
Depends. Maybe a guy like Calle Yarncrow, maybe a guy like David Kemp, maybe Holmberg. It would be someone in that bottom 6, because let's say we're not scoring. And I agree, the scoring's got to come from the top line guys.
I was just going to say that.
But you're not but you're not going to bench Austin Matthews because he didn't score, right? Like Robertson is a guy that is proven in minimal ice time can score.
Yep.
So you look at Toronto, no matter who they face, they are going to be facing a very good goaltender. Whether you got Bobrovsky in Florida, you have Vasilevsky in Tampa, or Allmark in Ottawa, which he has been the difference maker for Ottawa this year. I will say that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to save face an Allmark in the first round.
You are, no matter who you're facing,
Find any of those 3 goalies.
You're facing a Vezina caliber goaltender in the first round if you're Toronto, right? So if the goal scoring's not there, then yeah, you might bring Robertson into your lineup. The beautiful thing is, and good teams have this, the Leafs have flexibility. Like like when people say, well, what's the lineup? Your game 1 lineup and game 2 or game 3 lineup might be different. Let's say you play Florida and they completely beat the crap out of you. Then a guy like Holmberg comes out and a guy like Ryan Reeves comes in. Like it just really depends. But at least Toronto this year has that flexibility that other years that they haven't. I don't see the defense changing if it's healthy.
Right.
The only one who would maybe come out of the lineup versus coming in would be Robertson for Myers. Not Robertson for Myers, Benoit for Myers. Yeah, screw it. Put Nick Robertson as your 6th defenseman.
Well, hold up. You raised an interesting point there, Jacob. Do they go with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen?
No. I don't see Berube doing that.
Tampa Bay did won a couple cups, so maybe we're on to something.
Yeah, but Tampa, I don't know. I don't see Toronto. They haven't done that all season. When Tampa did that, they were doing that during the season, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I remember their 7th defenseman was Luke Shen. That's a very different defense core, right? Toronto's defense core is good, but it's not as deep as that Tampa's defense core was. But the Atlantic is wide open right now. You have, realistically, I would say to win the Atlantic, depending on how we're going to get into the Leafs games on Tuesday and Wednesday coming up, depending on how those 2 games go for Toronto, it's becoming a 2-horse race between Toronto and the Lightning. The Panthers losing 3 straight, only points in the last 4 of their last 10. The Panthers are kind of putting themselves out of that race. However,
the elephant in the room here,
a very different race, which is Ottawa to Florida.
Florida, because you said it a few weeks ago, and we were like, "There's no chance." But now we're having this conversation where, you're again.
Well, realistically, you look, Ottawa's 2 points behind Florida.
How are you if you're the Leafs going to face Florida if you win the Atlantic?
I'll be honest, it'll be absolutely hilarious. And I hate to say this too, Ottawa's got a pretty light schedule.
Yeah.
You play Columbus again on the 11th. Montreal on the 13th will be a tough game because I don't think mathematically they'll have that wild card spot locked yet. Then you play Philly, Chicago, and Carolina, where Philly and Chicago are both non-playoff teams, and Carolina has nothing to play for at this point. It's theoretically possible that Ottawa could maybe only lose one of those games. Let's say they only lose to Montreal, right? And then you have Florida that's got Toronto, Detroit, then Buffalo, Rangers, and then the Lightning to close the year. That's a bit of a harder schedule because by April 12th, Detroit's not going to be mathematically out yet, so they're going to be playing hard. Yeah. I don't. The Rangers will probably be mathematically out by the 14th. And Buffalo has been a team that's been known to be really good when the games mean absolutely nothing. That's when Buffalo shines. Yeah. Which quick shout out to Tage Thompson in Buffalo. No one talks about that guy.
Yeah, great player.
Like, what, fourth in the league in scoring?
No, higher than that now. He has over 40 goals. I think he's even higher than Ovi, if I'm not mistaken. He's around 44 goals. Let's take a quick look here. Yeah, he's got 43 goals.
Wow.
He's third in the league right now. Ovi's got 42. Willie's got 44, and Draisaitl's got 52.
But yeah, the Atlantic is still, I think out of the East, the Atlantic is really the only thing you're watching. The Metropolitan's pretty much locked up. And I think Montreal, unless they have an utter collapse, will take the second wild card.
They're too warm.
I gotta say,
they
quickly,
need to turn their air conditioning on.
I gotta say quickly too, I give Tampa Bay a huge credit here because I remember even not that long ago, even before Four Nations, we were saying, "Oh, Tampa Bay is not the powerhouse they used to be," and look at them now. Like that trade they made for Johnny Goal and Busquets. Maybe it was a small trade in comparison to like Langton or whatever, but wow, that was a trade that team needed. They are going so good right now, and Ryan McDonough, like 1,000 games, and he's a plus 42. Holy cow. And John Cooper, great coach. Like, give that team a lot of credit. Brandon Hagel's got a new level I didn't know he had. Like, it's a good team.
It's a big week for your Leafs. It's a big because they face both those teams, do they not? Florida.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Also, too, one thing you got to give Tampa credit for, they have the second best goal differential in the NHL.
Yeah,
they have a plus 74 goal differential, and they've allowed the third fewest goals in the NHL. So this team can defend really well, but yet they're still a high-scoring team with 276 goals this year. Think about that's 26 more goals than Toronto.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? This Tampa Bay team can score. Their only downfall would be their away record is 18-4, when at home they're 27-8-2. I think it's critical for Tampa to find a way to keep home ice.
Yeah.
Whether they can finish first in the Atlantic, or if they can at least hold second, I think Tampa really wants home ice that first round. They're a different team at home.
Yeah.
But
so
the Metro,
hypothetically, Leafs face, let's say they face Florida first round, Tampa, Ottawa. Who you have?
I would honestly, and I'm not just saying this as a Leaf fan, I really think the Leafs are going to get by the first round this year. I think they can beat Florida. I look at it, the Leafs, I don't think there's an easy route. So, we've said conference finals are bust for Toronto, so Toronto's going to take it. I think Ottawa will give Tampa a run for their money, but fall short. This is their first time making the playoffs in a long time. This Tampa team is very seasoned. It'll go 6, but I think Tampa.
I think it's going to go 7.
You could say 7. I mean, you're wrong, but that's okay. But hey, I am the self-proclaimed sports analyst here on the podcast. But I would take Tampa over Ottawa, Toronto over Florida, and then Toronto over Tampa in 7 to face. You know what? this is going to sound weird, to face in the conference finals, it'll either be Washington or it'll be Montreal. You guys probably think I'm nuts. I don't think Carolina. I understand they have somehow been able to be amazing even with everything going on. I think there's issues in that locker room. I think they're a dirty little team, and I think that Montreal or Washington can handle them. I think the Devils are going to get spanked first round harder than when you get in trouble for touching the cookie jar. It's not going to go well for the Devils. I think the Devils will lose in 5.
Is Sheldon gone by the end of the year, or is he still?
I hope
They'll
so.
give him 2 years before they fire him.
Oh, okay. So they're okay.
Hasn't been. Oh no, it hasn't been.
At the end of the year.
But the Devils, I'm just not confident in that team. And people might be like, hey, they have a decent away record and a decent home record. I just don't. I don't feel that team's built for playoffs. I really
they don't play. And you were Carolina. None of them really play playoff hockey.
No, Carolina plays playoff.
Carolina's playoff, yeah.
But they suck on the road.
Yeah.
I
totally agree with you, Jacob. I think Carolina will beat New Jersey in that first round. I think it might even be a sweep. Like, I think it's going to be domination. And then I think whether Carolina faces Washington or Montreal, I see one of those teams beating Carolina.
Yeah, I think Carolina.
I agree with you.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this out here. Carolina keeps going out in the second round. Do you fire Rob Brendamore?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
You can't keep having 100-point seasons and going out in the second round.
I'll tell you what the issue is. It's not coaching.
Oh.
It's not the general managers. It's attitude. They don't quite
attitude caused by coaching and culture created by the coach and the GM.
No, dude.
Yes, it is.
They really missed that leadership capability and like Justin Williams. Okay, they really but
whose fault is that they don't have a leader?
Yeah, but you summed it up perfect, Jacob, for a dirty, waddy team. So they need a veteran to bring them in and calm them back down.
Disagree with you. So's Florida, and they've made it to the Cup Finals 2 straight years.
Because Florida's
one line is going to be Kachuk, Marchand, and Bennett.
They can put their money where their mouth is. Carolina can't.
No, that it's you can't keep. And I'm gonna kind of use some words against everyone here, including myself. You can't keep saying Toronto has a major problem because they go up first or second round. Carolina's fine; they make it to the second round every year.
You can 100%. And the difference,
they're in an easier division.
The difference is the Maple Leafs are the Maple Leafs. They are the mecca of hockey. They have to make it. Carolina, they make it great. If not, whatever.
Carolina fans do not agree with you whatsoever. You're talking.
No, I know, but I mean like the whole league and the whole sport, right?
Oh, give me a no. Carolina's in an easier division and has an easier road than Toronto every year, and they still go up the second round. When was the last time Carolina went on a? They usually lose to the Islanders in the second round.
But you guys play the same team in the first round and still keep losing. So.
But if you look analytically, the Atlantic is, and I'm not giving Toronto an excuse. If anything, I'm giving Carolina less of an excuse. Carolina's in an easier division. Toronto, every year they lose, it's usually to a team that goes to at least the Eastern Conference Finals. Yes, okay, the Islanders have done that a few times, but let's be honest. On paper, Carolina should have smoked the Islanders.
Yeah.
Seriously, when was the last time Carolina went on a deep run? And I'm talking like deep.
A couple of years ago, we went to the third round.
When was that? Like seriously,
I don't know. I have memory loss, but they did.
Than you think.
Okay, fine. Let's try and look it up here.
I'm looking it up right now, you bum.
Okay, fine.
Playoff history.
Wasn't that long ago? Was Rob Brendamore still the coach?
He's the coach because they continue to have good regular season success.
They lost to the Rangers 23-24 in the semifinals.
Okay, so they lost semifinals. Okay, so they made it to the conference finals 23.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, that's my point.
Okay, but let's look at since 2019. Second round, 2020, first round, 2021, first round.
Shorter seasons, you guys said.
2022, second round. 2023, third round. 2024, second round. That's not good enough.
You can't fully blame them either because they tried to fix the problem with getting Lackman in. No one could predict that Lackman would be a crybaby.
Yes, you could. Easily.
I
Talk to the
couldn't
player
predict
before you make the trade. Do what Dallas did. Dallas said we will not make this trade unless there's a contract involved.
Yeah.
Who do you blame for that?
Carolina.
You blame the GM.
Yeah, no, he's not GM anymore, but yeah.
And like with Brendan Moore, it's his job to get more out of his team.
I don't know, third round, second round, maybe you get third round this round.
If you get to the third round this year, his job's safe. If you go out second round again, it's not. Because it's too many years where they've gone out the first or second round.
I would be very happy to have Rob Brendan Moore as my coach of my team.
Yeah, if he goes on the free agent market, someone's got to pick him up quick.
No, but it just you can't keep accepting mediocrity. And to me, a team that's probably going to hit 100 points this year going out in the second round is mediocrity.
Yeah.
It is. 100-point team. If you go up in the second round, that's a fail.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you got to beat Washington. That's a fail. You should be able to beat Washington. You're a deeper team with better goaltending.
Oh, no.
Washington, I really don't know what to make of that team this year. I know they have a good record. I know they're good on paper. They don't have the depth.
I totally disagree with you.
Yeah, they play a solid game.
Totally disagree. Don't forget, Washington did make the playoffs last year. They got swept in 4 games, but they did make it. They took that call and they got it bigger. They blocked in Pierre-Luc Dubois. It's like, oh man, I wasn't a huge fan of his, but he's had a tremendous year. Then they brought in Chicklin, who did not really work in Ottawa, but he's been great in Washington. Then they got the young guys and the guy from Belarus and McMichael, who have really stepped it up this year to be great players. Then they got the veteran core like Ovechkin and Wilson and Carlson, and they got great goaltending. Washington's one of the very few teams that have the full package, and that's why they are where they are this year in the standings.
Logan's got to have a good, strong playoff, though.
Yeah, he does.
Has to stay strong.
Defense is weak. Goaltending is okay. I wouldn't say goaltending is great. It got worse from last year.
It's working.
You're telling me that Logan Thompson and Lindgren...
He just get a big deal. He just got a big deal, did he not?
He did, yeah, like $5 million a year.
That's not a big deal in the NHL when Shesterkin just got 12.
No, I mean for Washington to take Logan. Like he was backup, was he not last year?
Yeah.
Now he's a starter?
No, they kind of have a 1A, 1B system. They're like Toronto, where I think goaltending's a big question mark going into the playoffs. You don't really know who your starter is there.
But he's got over 35, 40 wins, does he not, Logan?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's having a strong year.
Got a great year.
But you guys could think I'm crazy, and that's fine. You guys thought I was crazy when I said that Ottawa could have a strong chance of catching Florida.
Jacob.
And Sons. Yeah,
give me a break.
Okay, so Logan Thompson has played 43 games.
No, that's funny. Give me a break.
Logan,
yes,
you love your
Give me a break. There you go, yeah.
Jacob, give me a break.
Okay, what I'm saying is, Lindgren has played 36 games. Thompson has played 41. That's telling me it's a 1A, 1B system.
Right, yeah.
1 wins? Logan's hurt right now, though.
Oh, Logan Thompson's the better goalie, but he's also never really had great playoff success. And I look at a lot of these guys on the Washington roster. Pierre-Luc Dubois has always been bad in the playoffs. Nick Dowd has very little playoff experience. Ryan Leonard's a rookie. Andrew Mangiapane had a pretty decent run in Calgary once. That's about it. McMichael's only been in the playoffs once. Dylan Strome doesn't have a lot of playoff history. Tom Wilson does, but the roster is really 50-50. And Ovechkin in the playoffs, we know he's either great or he's terrible.
It'll come down to if the bands will make them dance.
Yeah, bands will make them dance.
And no, it's just I also and it's a tale of two sides. You have 3 really good defensemen, and the other 3 are like, oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
So I'm skeptical about this team still. But I want to take a look at the West before we start going into some upcoming games. Now, the West, we have somewhat of a clear picture. I don't see
The flame is igniting quick.
slipping to second in the Pacific. I don't know about you boys. I don't see the Golden Knights slipping. So I think,
No.
and I hate saying this, I don't see Edmonton catching the Kings. I think we know the Pacific now.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
Vegas first, Kings second, Oilers third. Which
And the Oilers are losing still 2-1 right now, going into the third.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
I'm also the only one I don't know about is I think the Dallas Stars have a slim chance of catching the Jets because they do play the Jets. They have a game in hand and only 5 points behind. I'd say it's about a 40%, maybe 30% chance, we'll say, that they catch Winnipeg. But it's possible. And that is critical because remember, whoever finishes second in the Central is playing the Avs.
Yeah.
You talk about the Leafs wanting to avoid
Please.
playing the Florida Panthers. I would do anything I could in my power to avoid playing the Colorado Avalanche first round.
Oh,
Because let's
yeah.
be real. For Dallas and Winnipeg, if they go out first round, that's an epic fail.
100%.
They're both over 100 points. Actually, funny enough, though, anyone in the Central, if you go out first round, I think it's a fail.
At least one of them's got to leave.
I know, but it's a fail. Like, you can't tell me Colorado, if all the moves they want, are happy with a first round exit.
Yeah.
Neither would be. Yeah, well,
But neither's Dallas and neither's Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say this too, and I brought this up about Rob Brendamore. What do you do in Winnipeg if you have an early playoff exit again?
I don't even want to think about that.
Well, I'm going to make you think about it. Get wrecked.
No, because what do you do? You're like, what do you do?
Fire your coach.
Fire the coach.
You've already locked up Scheifele and Hellebuck long term. You have to keep them. They got no moves long term. Fire the coach.
Well, maybe we'll call up Bob Brendamore from Carolina since you're firing him.
Winnipeg's another one like Carolina. Mediocrity is not good enough. Winnipeg has to make it to the conference finals, bare minimum.
I agree with that.
Conference finals. Okay.
They're the best team in the NHL. They've been the best team in the NHL pretty much all year.
Trying to get out of that second round, though.
I don't care. They've been the best team in the league all year. Figure it out.
No, they haven't really been the best than the second half, but they have been in the first half.
In the league all season.
I know, but they had such a hot start.
Find a way.
No, I agree with that.
I would even make a similar argument to Dallas. Dallas keeps falling short.
Yeah.
Colorado hasn't gone on a deep run since Kadri left.
Like,
Won the cup.
You could argue realistically, all three teams in the Central have underperformed in the playoffs the last couple of years.
yes.
Like seriously, if you think about it, would you not think I'm crazy when I say the Jets, Stars, and Avs are all cup contenders?
Yes.
So if they don't make it to the minimum conference finals, are they not underachieving?
Yes.
No, but seriously.
I agree with you.
The
100%.
level of competition in that conference, like it is tough.
But that's not an excuse.
Well, if they knew going into that, right?
Excuse when Toronto doesn't make it past the first or second round, but then give the excuse to Winnipeg, Dallas, or Colorado.
Yeah.
No excuses. Great song.
No
by Anna.
excuses. No excuses.
But there's no excuses.
I agree with you.
No, but seriously, like if we start to look back, Dallas Stars, what's the best they've done playoffs recently?
Well, there's
They went
another
to the
team
Cup
that doesn't
finals.
do well. They don't do well in the playoffs. They always
When did they go to the Cup finals, Dan?
I don't know. Was that COVID year when it was
Wasn't the COVID year?
No.
Dallas went to the Cup finals, Bill.
They went to the not recently, Dan.
No, I think they
No.
faltered in the playoffs
They
recently.
lost in the conference finals last year, conference finals the year before, first round in 2022, missed the playoffs in 21.
My bad. Sorry.
The cup, okay, they made it to the finals in 2020. That's not early enough for me.
Yeah.
I
I feel with Dallas, since they've been going to the conference finals, they got to get there. I almost argue
this is the year they got to get it
done.
Yeah,
I'm
agree
not
with you.
saying their coach is fired if they go conference finals again. I think conference finals, your job's safe.
I would think so.
Because
So
I mean,
how far did they
now
go
it's a great
in the
team
last
and
couple of
this
years? Jacob, you said where did they go in the last couple of years?
Who?
Dallas?
Dallas, they've made it to the conference finals the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So you feel like this has got to be the year, right?
Well, because they've had this core together for a very long time.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
keep improving it too.
Yeah.
Like they keep bringing like Wantonen's great, Matt Duchesne's nice addition. You got Michael
We got the most
Gavlin.
underrated goalie, Ottinger. Like,
OCC.
he's gotta be one
Ottinger's
of the
most underrated
underrated.
goalie in the NHL.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
He's just as good as
Ottinger's-
these other Vezina candidate goalies.
Yeah,
But then you look at
Dallas is a really good team.
But Colorado's a team, since they won the Cup final in 22, I'd argue they've underperformed. They're out in the first round in 23, second round in 24. That's not good enough for this team.
I agree.
But they're on that trajectory of.
So in theory, so
If
I'm
they
going
can
to
get out of this
you
first
guys
round.
then. If they don't make it to the conference final, are you making a major change in Colorado next year? Because you added so much depth.
If you don't get out of the first round, I still don't think you're making a major change.
Really? You think if they go out first
Maybe bringing
round,
somebody else in.
roster? You're fine if Colorado with Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, two strong goalies. You added Brock Nelson, you added Natchez, you added Johnson, you added so much depth. You're okay if they're going out first round.
Is this the strongest their goaltenders have been in the past?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This
Better
is
than
the
when they won
strongest,
the
you
Cup.
think?
Yeah.
Their goaltending is better than when they won the Stanley Cup.
I agree with that.
It is the best goaltending they've ever had in the McKinnon era.
Yeah.
I just think the competition in that conference this year, like,
I don't care.
yeah, it's going to be a disappointment to lose first round, but I can't see Colorado making big.
Between the conference we're talking about here and the Atlantic with the Leafs, Tampa, and Florida, which really proves that the playoff format is terrible. Because
These an excuse though.
Because out of these 6 teams, 4 of them should be in the conference finals. Easy. Okay? And instead of get a team like Carolina and New Jersey and I don't know, Edmonton or Calgary. It doesn't make any sense.
It actually did almost this playoff format favors the lower or the higher seeds because
it does 100%.
Some of the top teams to knock these top teams off, like that's what you want. Like you have a Colorado Dallas gone after the first round. Okay,
One
sure.
of them has to be, right?
Right?
You look at the same in the Atlantic. Either Toronto, Florida, or Tampa. One of those teams are gone first round.
Or two
That's
out of
why-
Or 2 out of the 3.
Or 2 out
That's
of 3.
why I think again, St. Louis could really dominate this year because they got the wild card spot, and all these great teams get knocked out at the beginning. Who knows?
One thing, right now the Blues would play the Knights, which I think that's where it'll be. I'm just gonna say it. I think the Blues could beat the Knights.
I think the Blues can beat the Knights. Yeah,
That series is going at 7. Like that's a very tight series.
I think the Blues could beat the Knights. They could beat the Kings. They can beat the Oilers.
Yeah.
who you taking in the Kings Oilers with the Kings home ice?
Kings.
You think it's their year to beat them out?
They're going to be at home, and they got the goaltending this year to do it. I think they have the goaltending, and you've also proven with McDavid and Draisaitl out of the lineup, if you can find a way to at least slow those two down, this team sucks.
No.
Yes. Dan, tell me who has stepped up since McDavid and Draisaitl got hurt. Please tell me.
Well, the new additions like Arvidsson and Skinner.
You mean you have less goals than the guys that they let go?
Adam Henrique's got the goal tonight, right? Like I get they're not as good as they were hoping, but the veteran guys like that are the type of guys that step it up in the playoffs.
You mean the team that's currently losing 2-1 to Anaheim?
Yeah, that team.
In a desperation moment trying to get home ice back.
That's right, that team.
And a team that they lose, it'll be on a 3-game losing streak in a dire moment.
That's right, that team.
To a team that barely beat the Sharks.
That's right.
No, they're gonna get. They're probably gonna end up losing to the Ducks today. Then they're gonna get creamed by the Blues coming up.
Yeah.
I just this Oiler team. It's a problem when you're scrambling because Stuart Skinner's injured, who's a backup goaltender. I mean, give Calvin Pickard all the credit in the world. He's done the best he can.
He has, yeah.
But Edmonton, the thing is, they're not even a crazy high scoring team this year. They have 242 goals. At their
That's the
goal
thing that puzzles me.
They don't have anyone else. We'll talk about Zach Hyman later in the show, but Zach Hyman certainly has not done what he did last year. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is just proving to be a terrible first overall pick again. Won 100 points last year. I don't think he's a point per game this year.
No, not
You have Jeff Skinner, who has less goals than Holloway does this year.
And Warren Fogle.
You also have Arvidsson, who's got less goals than Holloway. You got Warren Fogel's killing it now that he left Edmonton.
Yeah.
Like, Edmonton picked the wrong guys. I don't have faith in this team. I could seriously see the Kings beating them.
Wow.
Which we'll have a full playoff preview, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's kind of the wrong time to talk about all of this, but anyway.
It's not, though, because these are ones we know. We still don't know all the series. Yeah, these are series that we know.
Yeah.
We know LA is going to face Edmonton. We don't know who has home ice yet, because there is one thing we're not talking about here, and that is the Oilers do play the Kings one more time.
Yeah.
So if Edmonton can just find a way
one more time,
play a bit better, maybe Draisaitl and McDavid come back, and that's it. And it's a different story. But speaking of Edmonton, Trent Frederick, he was back again, and I don't think he's playing tonight.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
And he's injured again.
Yeah.
Stuart Skinner still out. That was another one, a real head scratcher for me. Edmonton didn't improve the goaltending.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, Trent Frederick's out again.
Yeah.
So they tried to rush him back too early.
Well,
and actually, it's not even Pickard in tonight on Monday, whatever. We record the day before. I don't care. It's Oliver Rodrigo who is playing. Who, when your third string is an AHL goalie backing up your backup goalie, who's normally who's now your head goalie, who's also an AHL goalie, your goaltending's in trouble.
Yeah.
And Edmonton here, I don't care that they're out shooting them 23-14. They're still losing.
I think it's the kid's first game. I think it's his
I
first
believe
game
it is
now.
too.
Yeah, I never heard of him.
Yeah.
That's a tough first game to come in a team that's been struggling to score. But Edmonton there, we've heard that Draisaitl and McDavid will be back before a playoff start. We still don't. There's no word on when Ekholm's getting back in the lineup. No one's really talking about it, but Ekholm's a huge piece.
Oh,
if he's not back for the playoffs, you could be in a lot of trouble. If he's not back, and Draisaitl and McDavid both are not at 100%.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you guys here, and remember to download the Streakers app to play along. Join into the Streakers Island podcast sports booth. We have the Oilers versus the Blues. Who are you taking, Oilers or Blues? Dan?
I'm going to go off the board and pick the Oilers here. I think St. Louis is a great team, but their winning streak got broken in Winnipeg. And I think St. Louis will still make the playoffs. I think they might lose a couple now that the winning streak's all over. And the Oilers have to bounce back. So I'm picking the Oilers.
Chazzy, Oilers or Blues?
I don't like picking against the Oilers, but I'm going to take St. Louis in this one to bounce back just to keep the momentum. And if the Oilers aren't at full strength here, I think St. Louis is a little bit stronger at this moment.
I also took the Blues. Now, will Zach Hyman get 2 points?
No.
Chazzy?
I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say yes as well. I think Hyman's going to have a big game, even though they're going to lose. Will the Blues get over 30 shots?
Yes, I think they'll bounce back with a lot of shots, yes.
So do I. So remember to download Streakers app, play along with us in the sports booth for the Oilers. But now let's quickly get into some Leafs. We've talked already a bit about it. David Kemp's injured. McCabe's injured.
Popcorn.
Neither one of them took the road, went on the road trip, but they're looking like they could be back for Saturday. Pacioretty and Hakanpää are skating, but not going to be in the lineup.
Hakanpää.
Tan like to give his Mike a little kissy kiss.
So what are we expecting this week? Do you think Tuesday and Wednesday?
Say that again.
What are you expecting from them this week, Tuesday and Wednesday? Like how, in your mind, is this playoffs? Is this you get one of the two, or you want both?
You got to play both these games like they're playoff games.
100%.
You could face either one of these teams first round. But my bigger question is, Right now, the Lightning are a bigger threat of winning the division over the Panthers.
Yes.
So who do you start in net on Tuesday? Is it Stolars or is it Woll? You're not playing Stolars both games. If you are, you're an
That's
idiot.
why I want my
Stones
answer.
has started the last 3 or 2?
2.
2.
2.
That's why I want my answer the way I did. I start off this game. I'm giving him 3 games in the Woll. I'm giving him the game against Tampa because they're a bigger threat. And I want to see how Woll plays against Florida. Because last time it was Storoff against Florida, and God forbid if an injury or something happens, I want to see how Woll does too.
You act like Joseph Woll's like Stuart Skinner or Calvin Pickard.
No. I said I want to give him a chance. I'm not bashing the guy.
I agree with you. I would go Stolars against the Lightning because I feel from Saturday to Wednesday he's had more than enough time to take a chill pill and get ready to go. Exactly. And then I go Joseph Woll on Wednesday. Some people say give Stolars both games if he plays.
No, definitely not.
Absolutely not.
No,
because he is injury prone. Chazzy's getting the popcorn ready because I'm getting back in injuries, but he's injury prone. So that's my thoughts there. Chazzy, do you kind of get what we're saying, or would you go Woll against the Lightning and give Stolars another game versus his former team?
No, I agree with you guys. Right now it looks like Stolars is going to get Florida, and then Woll gets Tampa, but obviously that can change. Again, we talked about it on the weekend. The live show is like, are we seeing some signs on who your playoff goalie is right now? And I think if you play Stolars, this will be the 3rd in a row. Maybe that's where Berube is leaning to. I
think he is too. I think the way Stolars has played his last 2 starts, he's looked really strong. If he continues to play like that, he's your guy. But you're not making that announcement yet because straight up, Stolars could play terrible. Woll could start playing great, and then Woll's your guy. It's whoever has the hot hand going in. But
so if Stolars loses Tuesday, Woll has a strong game. Are you still sort of leaning? So okay,
again, I don't take wins and losses to my goalies. I take more how did they play in the game. If you lose,
mediocre. Stolars mediocre against Florida. You lose a tight one. Woll Wednesday. Let's say win or lose, but he plays a mediocre game. You still like what's going to make you sort of switch your mind on not going Stolars, going Woll, having the confidence of Woll going to start?
Because if let's say Stolars plays terrible against the Lightning, which I don't think he will, but let's say he does, and let's say Woll plays outstanding against the Panthers, and then to close the year, Woll is playing better than Stolars, then I go Joseph Woll game 1. Does that mean I go Joseph Woll game 2? Oh. But game 1, I'm picking the hotter goalie. Yeah. You've gone 1-1-1 with them all year. Whoever is playing better at that moment gets the start.
So do you think going into the playoffs, switching back and forth with your goalies is more effective than just riding your number 1 pony in and then seeing where it's going?
Toronto doesn't have a number 1 pony. And that's how I look at it. It depends. Now, I think if you play game 1 and your goalie plays great, you don't switch him for game 2, win or lose. Mm-hmm. Like Boston did that against Toronto between Swayman and Ullmark, and it was an odd situation. But if you play in game 1, even let's say you win game 1 5-4, but your starter doesn't play well, yeah, I'm potentially putting in the other guy for game 2.
Yeah.
You have a 1A, 1B system. It's been the system all year. Hopefully Matt Murray doesn't have to come up. And you just either go with Woll or Stolars. But now I want to get into the Toronto Maple Leafs actual games coming up. Again, download the Streakers app and play along with us in the Streakers Island podcast sports booth. Who's taking the game on Tuesday, Leafs or Lightning? I am going to say the Leafs take this one. Tight game. Chazzy, Leafs or Lightning?
I'm going to say they're going to come out flat. I'm going to say Florida wins this one.
They're playing the Lightning, not the Panthers.
Lightning. Sorry, the Lightning.
Chazzy thinks both teams going to be terrible, and the Panthers are going to storm in.
Florida. Okay, no, I'm taking the Lightning.
Dan, Lightning or Leafs?
I'm picking Leafs. This is a big statement game. I'm going to come hungry for it.
So now for our custom props. Will the Tampa Bay Lightning get 30 shots or more?
Yes.
I'm going to say no.
Ooh.
I'm going to say yes because the Leafs have allowed the most 30-shot plus games in the NHL this year.
I'm only saying no because let's see what they do on the back-to-back. Just maybe they'll play more of a defensive game.
Yeah, interesting.
Will the Leafs score a goal in the final 2 minutes of the first period?
Yes. The reason why I say that is I find the Leafs get a lot of split power plays, meaning they get a power play in the last minute, so it's like half first, half second. So I think we'll be on the power play in the last 2 minutes of the first and get a goal.
Chazzy, what are your thoughts there?
I'm going to go no.
And will the Lightning score in the final 2 minutes of the third period?
I'm going to say yes, empty netter.
Dan?
I don't remember what I put on my notes, but I'm thinking here I'm going to say no.
You said no.
Okay, but no.
I'm going to say yes because the Lightning are going to score with the net empty to push this game to overtime.
Oh.
This game's going OT.
Now you didn't answer the question before that, Jacob. What do you think?
I'm not telling you.
Okay.
You got to put the Streakers out to find it.
The Leafs versus the Panthers. I am going to say the Leafs are going to lose to the Panthers on Wednesday because Florida is going to be playing very hard to make sure they don't slip to the wild card position. Dan, Leafs or Panthers?
Leafs. I think Wolves going to have a big bounce back game.
You think the Leafs are winning back?
Florida's Tuesday, Lightning on Wednesday, right?
No, other way. Lightning Tuesday.
Are you sure?
Maybe I'm wrong, but let's just that's okay.
Anyway, they're playing both those teams.
Yes.
On a back-to-back.
You are right. It is the Panthers tonight. That's okay.
That's what we're starting with the Panthers and then going to the Lightning.
Okay. But okay, for the Panthers on Tuesday night, Chazzy, who do you take?
Panthers.
I'm still sticking with the Panthers. I think the Leafs will beat the Lightning. So I think they're going to be more amped for that game. So now for some props here.
Hey, you asked my pick.
yes, I did. You said the Leafs.
I did, the Leafs.
Matthew Knies, will he get at least 1 point and 2 hits?
Yes.
Yes.
Chazzy?
Yes.
I'm going to say yes as well. Will the Panthers have 15 hits by the end of the second period?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Oh.
I think it's going to be more pushing and shoving and less hitting.
Oh.
Will the Leafs score at least one power play goal?
Yes.
No.
I'm going to say yes. But now let's quickly move on. We kind of already talked about the Calgary Flames here, but they've been struggling to score, right? Going into this playoff push.
Huge problem.
Dustin Wolf has been playing out of his mind. I know he let in that fluky goal against the Knights in overtime, but that's a 1 in a million play. I was hard to see.
1 in a million?
Yes.
What?
I think the guy could literally try that a million times again and not get it.
Patrick Kane won the whole Stanley Cup scoring a goofy goal like that.
Not the same type of goal, but anyways. But the team's playing hard. Dan, how big of an issue is it, though, for Calgary's lack of scoring, even if they can make the playoffs?
Huge issue. And it's been proven time and time again. One thing I will say about Calgary, when Jacob and I were talking off camera, Jacob forgot, I don't know, our viewers forgot too, but Anthony Mantha was a huge free agent piece Calgary got this offseason, and he's been injured all year. I think if Anthony Mantha was up there playing with Kadri and Huberdeau, I think we'd be having a different conversation. Right now, I think Calgary would be in the wild card spot, and scoring wouldn't be as big of an issue. So I can't blame it all on Calgary, but I think it's a huge issue.
So then do you think Calgary, in the next game they play the Ducks, do they win? Yes or no?
Yes.
Chazzy, is Calgary beating the Ducks?
They should, but if they lose tonight, I think it's over.
They mathematically won't be out, though. I don't see this team quitting, even if it's unrealistic. I don't see this team quitting. I'm going to also say they beat the Ducks, but I agree with you. At the time that we're recording, I believe they are losing to the Sharks.
Oh,
at the
1-0, 13 minutes to go.
Oh,
Yeah, I just checked. Yeah.
It's that lack of scoring again.
Yeah.
If they lose that game,
even if they get in, they're gonna. I don't see them going too far or playing more.
I don't either. The West is just too strong this year. I think if Calgary makes it, it's a nice story, but they'll get swept.
They'll win at least one if they make it.
Against Winnipeg.
Maybe one.
They'll win one. They'll lose in 5. But I think the Flames are still ahead of schedule, though. I mean...
Oh, yeah, it's just a
I
tough
think
story for them.
you have your goaltender now.
Oh, 100%.
But, boys, I do have some props for you for this game.
Ooh.
Will the Flames score 2 goals in the first period against the Ducks?
No.
Yes.
Yes. I think they'll find a way to finally get some goal scoring. And I have it, Kadri will have a 3-point night.
No.
Nazem Kadri has proven he's the guy on this team. Dan, you're saying no? Chazzy, you're saying no?
No.
Kadri will have a big game, but Calgary's not getting 3 or 4 goals.
They did last time they played the Ducks. Get wrecked. They won 4-1.
Okay, lovely. I think Kadri gets 2 points, not 3.
Will the Ducks score in the first 6 minutes of the second period?
Yes.
No.
The Flames will come out of the locker room flat. Yes.
Flames going to come out flat. Ooh, okay.
Whoa.
After the first intermission.
But interestingly enough, I'm going to throw
What's
you
going
guys
on at
off.
intermission?
I'm gonna throw you guys off here. You know we have a break scheduled. Screw the break. Let's keep going. Because I don't want to take a break. I want to throw to Lane Dashco, who has his thoughts on the Toronto Blue Jays signing Vladdy the Daddy.
What's going on, Streakers Podcast? It's your boy, Dashing Lane Dashko. Of course, we're here on a Sunday night. Just wanted to get it out here while it's just happened. It looks like Vladimir Guerrero is going to be staying in his hometown in the blue, white, and red as he signed a contract extension for 14 years for $500 million to remain a Toronto Blue Jay. What do you guys think about this? Personally, I'm a little perplexed. Vladdy did come out and say that he had a deadline at the preseason. He didn't want to talk about the contract. He was going to play out the year. He even started talking about playing with the Yankees and kind of looking. And I'm also interested to know what you guys think about the not taking any deferred money. You look at Soto, you look at Shohei Ohtani. Yes, they signed deals, but they also were willing to take money later on throughout their contract after their retirement. Vladdy's is all paid like a normal contract. It's going to be $36,137,000 every year for the next 14 years. Again, I'm a little perplexed as the Blue Jays have not really been a top team in the last few years. Seeing the AL, they have made the playoffs and had some struggles. Vladdy also not having the great start to this season, but he's had definitely some AL MVP seasons. And he's obviously still young, still a Canadian boy. And it looks like they got the deal done late on a Sunday night. I'm a little worried about him staying with Atkins and Shapiro, as they have not necessarily been the most trustworthy GMs and presidents to run the team. What do you guys think? Looks like Vladdy's going to stay at Jay.
Thank you very much, Lane Dashco, for sending in your video, man. I got to say, you broke that down to a T, Lane.
Literally.
We got to have him on the show sooner than later, boys.
I got to say, too, he's got some nice flow with the hair, too. A little bit Yamir Yarger, Moa style. And that guitar in the background's pretty gangster, bro. None of us got any musical talent. So, well, I can say, yeah, Jacob does. I'm sorry, Jacob does. But not guitar talent. You cannot play.
This track gets more for your money coming soon.
No, come on. You can't play instrument. I meant instrumental talent.
My voice is an instrument.
But he brings up a great point on the deferred money.
Yeah.
And how important is that if you're going to stay with a team long term? By the way, congratulations. Way to get it done. A little too late getting this deal done. Like, would we be a little hotter start or a little more momentum starting out of the gate? Who knows? That's up for debate. But glad they finally got this done. Now we know a direction. Now we have our main horse in the stable, locked up long term till he's 40? Oh my God, till he's 40, 41. But let's talk about this deferred money. That I think that's the missing piece that a lot of these contracts are not getting attention on now. Is yes, now you can sort of plan your payroll, and it's not so heavily ended where 5-6 years down the road, now you got all this cap, and you're not going to be the same team like the Ohtani. You're going to be at a different stage in 7 years. So I think that was a great comment he brought up about that deferred money in the long
Yeah.
term.
And I got to say, too,
100%.
Vladdy looked a lot better against the Red Sox on Monday night.
Right?
Two
Yeah.
Different aura about this team now.
He looked comfortable. He brought in a
He
run.
did.
He looked a lot more comfortable, right? And the whole team looked a lot better, actually. Like, they had 13 hits in total, only one error, put up 6 runs. I thought, too, Barreros had a fantastic game going 7 innings. I think that's a key for the Jays moving forward. But I think getting the Guerrero contract done is going to be a huge difference for this club.
I just got to say, I called it here on the island. No one else did. I said the whole deadline thing was a negotiation tactic, and I said they would get it done during the season, and boom, here we are.
That's why Chazzy's got his popcorn, just to enjoy the chaos.
Just enjoying it.
But I mean,
enjoying the intel.
They put their money where their mouth is, and you now know Guerrero is a building piece for the rest of his career. Guerrero is going to be a Blue Jay until he retires.
That's amazing.
And it's great.
He's a generational talent. He's Canadian. He wants to be. A big issue in Toronto is finding players that want to be here. He wants to be here, and he's arguably the best first baseman in the MLB. Why wouldn't you want him?
100%. I think it's. I was about to say the same thing. I took words in my mouth, Jacob. It's like you got someone that wants to be here, and the Blue Jays can't argue and say, "Oh, they don't have the money" when they offer Soto $700 million, right? So they have the money. If they spent the money. I agree with Lane. Goy has a good point about the Mayersing side of the Blue Jays. I got some question marks about that, and maybe we'll see a change if they have another flat season. I hope they do, but long term, this is great for the country, great for the MLB, great for the Blue Jays. Let's go, Blue Jays. This is awesome.
Yes, honestly, I think you got to be. But I will say another point that I want to bring up that Lane brought up. I'm surprised a 6-5 start got a $500 million contract done.
Well, because of that offer before, you're so close, and then to have it go into the season was kind of like.
But then why not just do it before the season started?
I agree, 100%.
You're owned by Rogers, who's $1 billion company.
Yeah.
Unless they needed that extra $1 billion so they could get the NHL deal locked up after that $12 billion deal. I don't know, but
but he also brought up another about the front office. If the Jays don't have a strong season here, do they make changes in that front office going into next year?
They have to.
I don't know why they didn't this year.
I don't think the fans will take another year of this.
I don't think they will either. I think getting Guerrero done has bought you more time than my 30-game deadline. But I think by game 50, if you're still around a 500 club, you might see the manager, coach, whatever, that dude, Schneider, gone. Bye.
And you got the Bissett contract worry about now, too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much you pay Bichette after you just made Guerrero. I believe he's the highest paid first baseman in the MLB. So,
or do you move a Bichette and get some pieces back?
Or are you making Bichette the highest paid shortstop in the MLB?
I don't know.
Right? It's tough. Sure. I want to give another quick shout out though to George Springer. He's looked great for the Jays this
wonderful.
Year. Really good bounce back here. I mean, he was only 1 for 4 at the batter's box on Monday. But I mean, he also did bring in 3 RBIs that game. That was a huge hit he got. So
he's just clutching those moments, right?
He is, right? So I do think the Jays look a lot better. I still think the key to this team is the starting pitchers lasting 6.5 to 7 innings.
I like that new Jimenez they got too.
That is a point you brought up, Chazzy, too. And if you're saying potentially move Bichette, because you might have some wiggle room here with how well Jimenez is playing. Maybe you can move him to shortstop, and maybe you got a guy in AAA you could put at second. Or I mean, you have Will Wagner who played third today, who was good. He was fine defensively. So did Ernie Clement, but maybe then Clement can also play shortstop, right? So do you move Bichette to bring in a bunch of relief pitchers to fix that problem?
You have options. I think you have options. Now that you have Vladdy locked up, you have options now to.
I see, Dan, you're shaking your head. So I want to ask you then, do you put Bichette and Vladdy in that same category as superstar? Because I don't.
No, I don't either. But I would say you don't replace Bichette with a mediocre player. If you trade Bichette, you gotta get a good shortstop in return.
I don't agree. I feel you have enough pieces in the infield that you can do it with what you got. It's kind of like if a team has 4 really good centers in the NHL, you might move one of them to fix your mediocre defense, right?
I get. I can see it.
They might move. You have too many good players in the. No, there's no such thing as too many good players, but you have a lot of good players in the infield that you could maybe move around to be able to move Bichette to bring in the relief pitchers you need.
I think shortstop is too important of a position. I can see if you have a really good second base or something, but I don't know. I think shortstop's too important.
But I think in the farm club, someone could come up, and the Jays, the utility players that they have, they're strong. So I think.
Well, we do have a good farm system.
I think we just need some more pitching, and if that bullpen has to stay healthy. So,
however, I've been impressed with. I know it was only one start, but I thought Lucas looked really strong. I do wonder if maybe he could become a relief guy down the road for this team. Yeah. Maybe a relief guy when you have your starter only go 5 innings, he can come in and pitch 3 really strong innings.
Right.
Because I think that's what you were hoping from Nate Pearson, but that's just has not been the case. And let's be honest, Manoah can't seem to figure out how to throw a pitch in 20 seconds. So that's been a big issue. But I want to ask you guys here. We're going to be going into game number 2 in this little mini best-of-3 series against the Red Sox here. I argue these divisional series are critical for the Jays. They got a big win on Monday. So are they going to win Tuesday? Remember, again, the MLB is in the Streakers app, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So when you're combing your hair, fixing it, making it look pretty sexy, as you know, we've been over this. We all have great hair. And actually, I forgot how nice hair Lane has. I'm used to seeing him in a suit. But, I mean, he is dashing the Dashco. But remember, you can download that Streakers app and get in there. But I think the Blue Jays are going to win this game again. I think they have a high from this contract deal. I think the team has a lot of momentum. Chazzy, are you taking the Jays or the Red Sox on Tuesday night?
I'd love to take the Jays, but I don't know. Let's see what this Garrett has for Boston. Has a strong start. I think he's going to shut these bats down. So I'm going to say Boston, unfortunately, in this game too.
Okay. Dan?
Blue Jays.
Great analytics, Dan.
No.
Break it down.
I think the Blue Jays, I agree with you, Jacob. You took the words from my mouth. They're on a big high now with his contract. Now they've got to sort out the drama of Bolsett. And once that's done, we'll be getting to our way to my 98 win prediction.
They're not hitting 98 wins, but the Jays are on such a big high you'd mistake them for Snoop Dogg. But let's get into some props here. Will the Jays get 9 hits by the end of the 7th inning?
No, not even close.
Not even close. Remember, they had 13 hits Monday night.
Doesn't matter. Not even close there.
I say yes.
I'm going to say yes. I think they'll be at 9 hits exactly. Chazzy, do you know who's starting for the Jays on Tuesday night in pitching?
That's Easton Lucas.
Okay, so does Easton?
Oh, our boy.
Versus Garrett. It should be a good pitching match. That's why I don't know if there's going to be a lot of hits. It could be a 1-run game. It's going to be a tight game.
Wow.
Does Easton Lucas get a little more leash, and do they let him pitch at least 80 pitches?
Yes.
80, we'll see. Well, his first game, he had, 5 innings? Does he get 80 pitches? No.
No?
I'm
going to say yes. I think Lucas has a strong game and goes 6 innings.
Okay, I'm going to say no.
I think he'd give him a little more leash this time.
Yeah.
And then, last but certainly not least, do the Red Sox get at least 7 hits in total?
Ooh, it's a good one.
No.
What they have tonight?
I say no.
I'm going to say yes. I'm gonna say yes.
I'm gonna
You know what? I
say
think they're gonna hit the bullpen.
I'm gonna say no because I think Lucas is going 6 innings. Remember, my prop. You look at the props. It's hard for me to say Lucas is going to pitch 80 pitches, but then the bullpen's going to get lit up, right? So I'm going to say that Lucas is going to actually get to 6 this time, and they're going to hold the Red Sox to under 7 hits.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about some history. Pull out your history textbooks.
Before we get to the history, Calgary is now 2-1 in that game with 7 minutes to go.
Oh!
Let's go!
The Ducks are 3-1 over Edmonton. Just a quick update there before we get into some history. And what an emotional weekend. Even if you're not like a Washington fan or an OV fan, whatever, you could not have not been like more sort of like, I don't know, just an emotional moment just seeing that record being broke. Like Gretzky's had that for a while.
I literally cried.
It's funny enough. They dug up an interview clip with Ovechkin and him saying he wasn't going to break that record. That he wouldn't do it. Now, this was years ago when he was under 500 goals. And he's like, I would need 9 50-goal years. He's like, I might not even play 9 years. Like,
wow.
And realistically now, people are talking, is he going to hit 1,000? If he decides to stay an extra year past his contract, signed another year or 2 extension, continues to put up 40 goals a year, it's not impossible. But what Ovechkin has done, he has broken a record that no one thought would be broken. A record that I called at the beginning of the year saying he would break this year.
You did.
Coming down the stretch, I said he would get it against the Islanders.
Oh,
so,
you did.
Self-proclaimed sports analyst. Now I know why it's self-proclaimed because I'm a sports analyst. But
we got game film. They can go back and hear that you did say that. So yes.
But what's really interesting, and I find this fascinating, Bry Pop, special friend of the program, posted on his Facebook a very interesting thing, and it was comparing how goaltenders were back in the Gretzky era versus the Ovechkin era.
Right.
And this is what I think makes this Ovechkin goal record that much more remarkable. And this is not putting down what Gretzky did in his career.
Oh, come on.
Dan, get over it. Whether you like the guy or not, yes, you're upset that he high-sticked Doug Gilmour and the Leafs forgot that they're allowed to kill a penalty. But sick of the whining and the excuses. But what Ovechkin has been able to do in an era where goal scoring is down because goalies are better than they've ever been is incredible. Yeah. The consistency this man has had is putting the puck in the net. He has another 40-goal season. He has the most 40-goal seasons in NHL history now with 14 40-goal seasons. Next closest was Gretzky with 12. Wow. What Ovechkin is doing at 39 is remarkable. I don't know if we'll ever see someone at this long be this good. And it's crazy what he's done against some of the best goalies we've ever seen.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was hilarious, Dan, and you sent it to me, though. Curtis Joseph, a huge Cujo fan, as you see my lovely signed Cujo jersey. He posted a video congratulating Ovechkin while drinking a Budweiser Zero because he said that's how many goals he let in against the Great Eight. So I thought that was hysterical. But you look at what Ovechkin has been able to do, and I love the way the Islanders fans reacted.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
that was a magical moment, and I love that they let him have his moment. I thought the NHL, and I am very seldomly going to give Gary Bettman some credit. I thought Gary Bettman made the right decision by letting the game stop, having this big ceremony, and everything they did. But Dan, you thought it was odd, something about Wayne Gretzky's motorized vehicle.
Yeah. So I picked up on what?
Look at Chazzy's face.
Yeah, I picked up on something very unique that no one else has picked up on. And one little hint I'm just going to say here is we're going to tie, and we're in the spring here, we're going to tie streakers to automotive. Because people know more for your money and know me, know my passion of cars and sports. So we're going to put both passions here together. That's the only hint I'm going to give for now. But starting this conversation on with cars and automotive, Wayne Gretzky, he had made a very unique comment saying that when he broke the record in 1994, the owner of the LA Kings gave him a Rolls Royce. And I'm sitting here thinking, Number one, it's Ovechkin's moment. Why is he talking about this? Number two, why did he specify a Rolls Royce? It wasn't like he was given a Ferrari or Lamborghini, a common car everyone knows of. He specifically said a Rolls Royce. And not, maybe some car guys, maybe some non-car people don't even know what that is, right? So I found that very odd. Now, Ovechkin is a car guy, so that could have been a part of it. But Ovechkin's car collection includes Mercedes and Cadillacs for the most part, not Rolls Royces. So I'm sitting here, and Gretzky is not known as a car person. So I'm sitting here, why is he talking about Rolls Royce? Well, because my personal Instagram, because I'm a fan of sports and cars, I follow a lot of sports and cars Instagram pages. And guess what classic car came up for sale on a classic car auction that's going to be auctioned off on April 17th? The Rolls Royce that Wayne Gretzky was talking about. So I think it's the exact same car. The exact same car Wayne Gretzky was given in 1994 is coming up for auction on April 17th. I find the timing too perfect. The day after Gretzky talks about it, the car comes up for sale. Now, and I don't know if Gretzky's selling it personally, but this had to be planned. Either Gretzky still owns the car and he's trying to make a payday since everyone's upset at him right now, or the owner of the Rolls Royce paid Gretzky to pop it up, because he pumped it up like it wasn't just a one-time comment. No. It wasn't just a one-time comment. He mentioned it quite a few times over that hour. Oh, I got a Rolls Royce. Oh, I got a Rolls Royce. Boom, it's for sale. So I really want to know. And in the post where they announced the Rolls Royce, they are predicting this to be the most expensive hockey memorabilia item in history.
This car.
Which I totally disagree with that comment.
500 gallons of circusness.
It
is a weird coincidence, Dan, and maybe
that's not where I thought that story was going to go.
But you think about it, the most expensive NHL memorabilia piece would have to be the Stanley Cup, or like the stick of something cool, right? But like, okay, maybe the car is the biggest piece. Maybe the car is the biggest piece in NHL history. Because what's bigger than a car? Maybe a Zamboni. Maybe one day we sell off the famous Zamboni. But
cut the racket. Chazzy, I couldn't put that in the rundown because I wanted your real-time reaction to this ludicrousness.
Oh man, not like I said, I was intrigued, and then I'm listening like that. That took a hard laugh.
Hey, here's a prop for you: Gretzky's Rolls Royce over under 100,000.
What he was Morph was just saying it's going to be way over 100,000.
It's going to be more than what the Blue Jays just paid Vladdy.
No, not that much.
500 million, baby.
Now, 90s, and the other interesting thing about this too is 90s Rolls Royces are not huge in the market right now. Yeah, it's a cool novelty car, but it's not like he's selling a $10 million car here. So, interesting to see.
Dan, if you keep going on about this, so for the viewers who don't know, I have the power to mute Dan's mic. So if he goes on too much of a tangent, I could just cut his mic, and then it'll just be like,
the market's not right for this auction.
Well, there you go, guys. If you're looking for a 90s Rolls Royce, Dan is saying do not overpay for it. That's the analytics you're getting today on the podcast. But let's bring this back to reality here. And I do want to talk about Sidney Crosby, which some people might be like, why are you talking about Crosby? This is Ovechkin's moment. But I think this has just shown that Crosby and Ovechkin will go down as two of the greatest players to ever touch ice.
Crosby's not a car person. He still drives a Jeep.
A lot of people like Jeeps, Dan.
I know. I'm just saying he's not a car person.
But what we have to remember...
You ever want to know what an athlete comes out of the garage of this stadium in? More affordable answer that.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have to remember here, boys and girls, Sidney Crosby has had now 20 straight seasons with at least a point per game. Ovechkin broke Gretzky's goal record. Crosby beat Gretzky's point per game record. We are seeing records broken that we never thought would be broken. Like Sidney Crosby at his age could hit 90 points this year. Oh, 3-1 Calgary.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just to go.
Coronado with another big goal. So looks like Calgary's winning that one.
Wow.
But back to Crosby here a little bit. And again, what Ovechkin does this year is incredible. But I thought it was kind of funny. The same night that Ovechkin tied the goal record, Crosby put up a hat trick.
Well, let's talk about that. The hats were flying. He was on the road and the hats were still flying.
No, because I think Sidney Crosby is like Ovechkin in that way that everyone just respects this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So in 76 games, he has 86 points and he's 37 and his team sucks.
Yeah, Dallas just throwing hats out. Yeah.
Can you imagine if Crosby was on a good team?
Oh, yeah.
He'd be 100 points. He'd be the best player in the NHL.
Yeah. Yeah, but
how many cups would he have?
Oh my gosh. And that's one thing too. When we talk about playoff history, can you imagine if Pittsburgh kept Marc-Andre Fleury over Matt Murray, how many cups they would have won?
Oh, it would have been a couple more for sure.
They never made it past the second round once they let Fleury go.
Because Fleury won the cup the year after, right? He left?
No,
the
finals the year after in Vegas.
The finals after, yeah.
I gotta say, I feel bad for Crosby. He doesn't get the same recognition because I think Ovechkin deserves everything he got, but I think his record is just as impressive as Ovechkin's record, and no one's even talking about it. I think that's, sad.
Crosby at 37, if he was healthy all year, would be on pace for 93 points. And I want to state this too.
On a bad team.
He has done this while injured most of the year. When he was on Four Nations, he had to get Nathan McKinnon to put his jersey on for him because his shoulder was so banged up. Can you imagine if Crosby was healthy and had some decent line mates?
Yeah.
He'd be going for the heart. He'd be going for the heart. You'd be talking about this is the greatest player in NHL history. And I will say it's going to be a very sad day for hockey when both Crosby and Ovechkin hang up the skates.
Because I don't see guys like Matthews and McDavid and Draisaitl doing what these guys did.
It's tough to say if they'll do the consistency. Because
but for 20 years. Maybe 10 years, but 20.
Crosby and Ovechkin for the last 20 years have been the face of the NHL. And I'm just going to say this. They came into the NHL when the NHL was really struggling. They needed a face. 100%. So many of their superstars were aging out, and there wasn't really anyone there. When the face of the league was becoming guys like Matt Sundin, I'm sorry, it was a problem. Not saying Matt Sundin was a bad player, but he wasn't like to the same caliber as your Mario Lemieux or your Jaromir Jagrs or your Mark Messiers, and all these guys are aging out. Then you had the lockout, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to the NHL? Then Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin. Crosby said, hold my Timbs. Ovechkin said, hold my vodka. And they both went
Zamboni through the drive-thru.
Yeah. And I just got to say, we have witnessed for the last 20 years, we have witnessed greatness. So I wanted to take the time to give a shout out to both of these guys because like you look, Sidney Crosby, even over his last few years, he's dominated like every year. He's been a point per game every year his entire career. Ovechkin has 14 40-goal seasons. I loved Austin Matthews' response when someone asked him about breaking the record, and it was a similar response to when they asked him if he liked eating a goalpost. Yeah. He just kind of looked perplexed, and he's like, he just broke this record. I don't know if anyone's going to break it. Right? Just let him have his moment. And I think we need to let Crosby and Ovechkin have this moment that we have witnessed to, I am going to say this, the two best players in NHL history.
Yeah.
I don't think I can think of a better two-way player than Sidney Crosby. I can't think of a better goal scorer than Alex Ovechkin.
No.
Like, the only players that I can think of that if they could have stayed healthy were guys like maybe Teemu Selanne back in the day.
McGillivray.
McGillney, which I don't think Alexander McGillney gets enough credit for how talented that guy was either. If he could have stayed healthy, first player to defer from Russia in NHL history. If you think about it, we wouldn't have Ovechkin today if McGillney didn't do what he did.
Exactly.
Right? So, but I mean, at the end of the day, what Ovechkin and Crosby have done, it's been insane. But I want to ask you this now. How many goals does Ovechkin get this year?
Well, I think he's going to get about 48.
What's
but then you also told me off camera you didn't think he was going to play every game to finish the year.
That's why I think only 48 and not 50.
How many does he have now? 42?
43.
So you're thinking?
Oh, you think he's going to get another 5 in 6 games?
Yeah, I think he's hot right now. I think he's going to continue it.
Are they going to hit him a couple games now that the record's over, though?
Well, that's the thing. I think he'll have a game or two where he gets a hat trick or like 2 goals, but I think at the end, we're going to scratch him for a couple games as a West up.
It depends how badly they want the President's Trophy. Because if you go to the finals and face Winnipeg, you'd much rather have Game 7 in Washington than Game 7 in the Peg.
Well, that's true.
Right? So it depends. Back to the NHL standings we go.
That's
Jets have 110 points. Well, the Caps have 107. The Caps do have a game in hand. So theoretically, it's possible. Washington doesn't have too bad of a schedule to finish off the year. You got the Hurricanes, Blue Jackets, Islanders, and then Pittsburgh to close the season.
I just want to say here quickly, when Ovechkin and Crosby both came in a league here, both the teams, Washington and Pittsburgh, were almost bankrupt. And look what they saved the franchises to be. That's amazing, too.
It is, but we need to move on to our 1v1 we did last week.
Wow, how'd we do? What happened?
So, apparently, Chazzy, we were both right because it's a tie.
Oh, nice. Oh, see, all right. Nice.
We both, so the viewers have spoken that I guess they're saying Nyes and Hyman are comparable.
I like it.
You know, I like it too, because I think they both bring in different aspects, right? Hyman's the veteran leadership who's got done the playoffs. Nyes is the unicorn that kind of reminds me, and I'm not saying he's quite the same, Dan, before you yell at me, but he's like a Gary Roberts type player for Toronto. Very physical, will fight, but can still has that offensive touch. But I have a question for the viewers. Send us an email at streakersislandpodcast@gmail.com or message us on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram and let us know what 1v1 you want to see next. And we will debate it.
What one are we doing tonight?
We're asking the viewer to give us one for Thursday. Listen, you pleb.
Oh, I thought we were still going to do one. Okay.
No. So, but yeah, that's a tie there. And
I'm glad we weren't so far on the left side of the island here with the fans had us at a dead heat of a 6-6.
Exactly. It's showing that, hey, like, you know what? It was a comparable 1v1. But I want to move on now to the Ontario Hockey League. And round 2 of the playoffs is underway. And we're going to have to get Bryputt back in here on Thursday's episode.
Oh, yeah, what he's like in this round.
About the playoffs. But the first round, I want to more recap the first round now. We saw none of them went to 7. It was actually a lot of blowouts. Brantford destroyed North Bay in 5. Barrie versus Niagara. So I found out it was a food fight at the movie theater that caused the OHL to suspend every player for a period.
Wow.
That is a conversation we're going to have another day about what the OHL is thinking. Frontenac's smoked the Wolves. That surprised me. Generals just beat the Steelheads in 6. That was the closest series we had in the first round. I really thought that was going to go 7. I thought Brampton would do a bit better. I am also surprised that the London Knights smoked the Owen Sound Attack. I thought Carter George could have stole a game. Greyhounds lost in 5 to the Spitfires. Sorry, Sue Greyhounds, but I'm not surprised about that at all. That's what I predicted. Kitchener Rangers taking down the Flint Firebirds in 5, and Erie Otters taking down the Saginaw Spirit in 5. So I think the second round is going to be tighter. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Competition gets tougher. First series in the bracket board, we have the Brantford Bulldogs versus the Oshawa Generals. Buckle up, mother trucker.
I'm sticking with the Gens.
And again, I think
that'll be a good series.
I want Brypup's going to have to come back on Thursday and tell us, a little more about which series that we should really keep our eye on. But we also got the Barrie Colts versus the Kingston Frontenacs. I think that's good. I think that's a series that could go 7. I really do, especially with the travel distance. And I thought Barrie Niagara might have been a different series if it wasn't for the food fight. We have London Knights versus Barrie Otters. That is my one series. I think we'll see a blowout. I think London will probably win that in 5.
More for it's championship or bust in London.
That's right.
Then we got the Windsor Spitfires versus Kitchener Rangers, and we'll talk about it more in depth on Thursday's episode. But sorry, Kitchener, you're going home. Because Windsor, I think we're going to see Windsor London as a potential final.
Oh, that would be okay.
As much as I want it to be Barrie, but Brypup's going to come back on Thursday. I haven't even asked Brypup yet, but I'm just telling him now live on the show. He watches the show, so he'll be prepared. He'll be like, "Oh, okay," and then he'll send us an awesome video. And there we go. But yeah, I think the second round's going to be exciting, boys. I think
100%. Yeah, I can't wait.
And the OHL draft's coming up too, which that's going to be exciting too. It's a lot of exciting time in junior hockey.
Peterborough Peaks, number 1.
Yeah.
First overall pick.
It's exciting stuff, man. We got the sports world, and we got to think about it. When hockey comes to an end, CFL begins. We're under 60 days away from the start of the CFL season. That's why you got to stay locked on the Streakers Island podcast, because we're going to have all of you covered on everything. But before we go, Dan, what is your island mindset for today?
It was a quote that I found that I like.
Is it life's what you make it, so let's make it right? Because Miley Cyrus is very inspiring.
I'm Miley Cyrus fan, but no, that's not the quote today. The quote
best of both worlds. Rock it out, take it slow. Then you rock out the show. Anyways, continue. So
the quote I had today was, opportunities don't happen, you create them. And I thought it was perfect. You look at us with Streakers in the island and how far we've become in a few months. We're going to thank you, the fans and the viewers, and for listeners as well. You guys, we couldn't do it. And whatever goal you're trying to do, just make it happen. You can make it your own. Dan, I gotta say that is very similar to a Hannah Montana song. I'm gonna bring the Miley Cyrus back in here. Life's what you make it, so let's make it right. Come on. Since when Miley Cyrus sounded like that? Does he have a sex change or something? Anyways, we gotta go. I swear it's not vodka in this water bottle, ladies and gentlemen. It is just water. But it is I, Jacob Moore, the sports analyst, signing off with Chazzy, the CEO, and Dan Moore, more for your money. Woo! Bye-bye. See you again on Thursday. So until then, I'm gonna make Dan continue to wait because I think this is hilarious. But it's Hockey Hall of Fame, sir, because we're going to witness Crosby and Beckson Hall of Fame. That's why I'm wearing shirt. I'm glad Dan's wearing a shirt. I think people would have paid for him to put his shirt back on if he took it off. But thank you very much. Take it off now. Bye. Make sure you watch all of our social media content. Follow us on everything, and we'll see you later. See you Thursday. Bye.